Hey guys, Rainbows here with another video commentary, Starcraft 1 this time. This is a very well-known game between CrownRoyal and Leunal during the Team Liquid Race Wars event. So, we're just going to get this started. This is played on Othello. We've got CrownRoyal here, right on the top position, and down in the corner at 5 or 4 o'clock, whatever o'clock this is, we have Leunal as Terran. The Race Wars Team Liquid, I'm not super familiar because this was a little bit before my time, but the gist of the event was that it was a combination. It was a competition between the three races of Starcraft, kind of to see who could embody the spirit of the races the most. So, I know when I think of Terran, for example, I always think of mech play and kind of turtling and tanks with massive damage and bunkers and offensive defense, you know. So, I always think of all those things with Terran, and then with Zerg I think about like massive swarms of lings and defilers and mutas running around everywhere and being microed really well. And then with Protoss I was just kind of think of Corsairs killing all my fucking overlords. So I'm not really sure exactly how it's possible to embody the spirit of Protoss in a PvT. I guess we're gonna have to find this out and see what CrownRoyal does here. So the players so far are building supply structures, which are obviously differentiated between the races. Zerg have overlords, Terran have supply depots, and Protoss have pylons. And I'm a little bit disappointed that the players here aren't going for some sort of an immediate racial, I can do this and you can't opening here. CrownRoyal hasn't gone for a manor pylon or a gas steel or any of those other really nasty Protoss tricks. And I think a good portion of the reason that he's doing that is actually just because he's scouting in the wrong direction right now with this probe. So my criticism is probably somewhat invalidated. He is opening up with a gate and an assimilator. Probably going to go some sort of build that uses gas off of one. It's so weird to come back to StarCraft 1 after StarCraft 2 and just only have one gas and have none of the subtleties involved of scouting your opponent and figuring out whether he's got as much gas income as he possibly could or half as much gas income as he possibly could off of one base. It looks like Leunal is going to go for a really fast wall in here. He's not even going to bother finishing the supply depot. Walling in is definitely a very Terran thing. None of the other races can really do it quite so much, mostly because they can't really lift off their buildings, which is kind of an essential part. It's not very helpful to wall in if your own units can't get out unless you're going some really weird air strategy. And it doesn't necessarily look like either of them is doing that right now. Leunal is pooping out his first Marine from that barracks right there. And it looks like he's going to get up the factory, so he's going to go mech. So he and I have similar ideas on what Terran is all about. Terran is all about tanks. Anyone who says otherwise is a bad man. Cybercore coming up for CrownRoyal right now. He's getting some relatively fast tech, not super fast, and a Stargate against Terran right off the bat. That's really interesting. I'm not sure how much good that's going to do. Against Zerg, a fast Stargate is useful because you can snipe overlords, but Marines are fairly good anti-air, even in small numbers. So I'm not really sure what the purpose of the Stargate is. I mean, I understand that switching carriers against Terran is very effective late game once you've been spamming a bunch of ground units so that the carriers can just come and wipe out all of his tanks and Goliaths and, well, not wipe out his Goliaths, wipe out all of his tanks and get wiped out by his Goliaths after he tech switches. And a Citadel of Aden coming up. It looks like it looks like he's going for a stove. A stove, if you are vaguely familiar, I'm not super up with the details on the build, but basically you just build a scout, which he's doing right here, to confuse your opponent and make him think you are as bad as possible, because scouts are terrible. And then from there he's like, why is he building a scout? And you just bamboozle him by I'm making a left punch motion with my hand. You just kind of bamboozle him by hitting him with a nice cross with some other tech from what he doesn't expect while he's dealing with your one scout and the bad things that prevails. It looks like this Dragoon is taking down Scout from Leunal. Leunal does know exactly what's going up. He knows that there's two gates, Citadel of Aden, and a Stargate up. He's probably just as confused about the Stargate as we are. The stove is, it was popular for a while, I think. Templar Archive's coming up for CrownRoyal, so he's probably going to go DTs and hope that Leunal doesn't actually have any detection, but Leunal is going to get an engineering bay because he does see that starport, and he is going to get some turrets up, which are definitely going to decrease the value of the DTs. I can't help but think that just going straight DTs would have been more effective than coming in with this amazingly, amazingly useful unit right here. Look at how much damage this is doing to this SCV. The SCV is probably not going to die before that scout does, honestly. And the other SCV is repairing it all. Yeah, that scout is doing one marine kill. Scout is at quarter health. It looks like it's barely going to get out. Tanks are coming up for Leunal, so he's going to be really, really difficult for CrownRoyal to assault from the ground, but a Dragoon is going to prevent this expansion here from landing without at least a little bit of damage on it. I think those Marines in that tank are going to be able to make quick work out of it, so Leunal's basically going to get a free expansion out of all of this tomfoolery. In the meantime, it looks like DTs are finally coming up for CrownRoyal, so he is going to have a decent chance of doing some damage now. He's got a couple of vital probes sitting around here. DTs are coming up and immediately moving out to try to do as much damage as possible, which is a very, very good idea. But there are a whole bunch of turrets up in Leunal's base, all over. There might be a little patch right in here where he can sneak in, but it's pretty doubtful. CrownRoyal's doing a little bit of harass on the scouting engineering bay, trying to make sure that Leunal doesn't get infinity free vision off of it. DTs are coming up right now as we speak, and it looks like a missile turret is already going down in front of that expansion, but the SCV is going to get taken down really fast. DTs do an incredible amount of damage per hit. And ComSat goes off, and that first DT is in very bad shape, 9 health, 4 health, and he gets a SCV kill and a Marine kill. Good job. ComSat going off, and the second DT is going down without doing a single whit of damage to anything. So it looks like the stove is just being massively unsuccessful. That uncompleted missile turret is going down. Incredible blow to Leunal's economy right there. And those Dragoons are dicking around, but they are going to get pushed back by tanks. CrownRoyal does have his expansion up right now, but he doesn't have any probes on it. I have to wonder how much of his time he's been spending trying to do this absolutely stupid harass. Arbiter Tribunal coming up, and that's going to actually give him some interesting options, because he's going to be able to recall his troops all over the map. He's going to have this great mobility, and he's also going to have stasis versus tanks, and that's absolutely going to enable him to do a whole bunch of things that he wouldn't have otherwise. Leunal looks like he's going to try to scout with an SCV right here, but that's going to get taken out before it manages to see anything. Some more DTs coming down from CrownRoyal. They're not going to be able to accomplish anything with these missile turrets. A whole bunch of missile turrets in here. Recalls are actually going to be tough with the amount of missile turrets going in. Missile turrets just kind of shut down everything Protoss does. It's amazing. They shut down everything everybody does. They're some of the better units in the game. More tanks coming up for Leunal. It looks like he is... I'm sorry, no tanks. He's researching mines and vulture speed, and I am just a complete liar. He's doing a very nice job of keeping his minerals down. This is some very impressive macro play. He's going to try to scout again with an SCV, but again this SCV is going to get taken down before it actually sees anything. In the meantime, CrownRoyal does have his natural finally established, and he's got a whole bunch of gateways coming out. It looks like he's probably going to pump Dragoons. Well, that would be my guess anyway. That would be the more intelligent thing. He's got an Arbiter coming up, and he's not researching anything out of the Tribunal. It does look like Leunal was able to get a little bit of scouting information, and he does know that CrownRoyal is on 2 bases. I would not be horribly worried at this point, though. I mean, he knows that he's been spamming silly things like scouts and DTs, so because Leunal actually has a real army comprised of useful units, he's in a much better position at this point in the game. But Scout is still alive. That Scout still has a single kill. So it's not really doing a whole lot other than scouting, quite literally, which is ironic given its name, that a scout is actually accomplishing scouting. Leunal has managed to supply block himself, a slight blemish on his otherwise very solid macro play. It looks like CrownRoyal is rolling out with a Dark Archon. He melded those 2 vaguely useful Dark Templars that were rendered completely useless by the missile turrets into this amazingly completely useless versus Terran unit.